50th City Expats Club is a non-profit social organisation, and our speakers are volunteers. The club as such assumes no responsibility or liability for the professional reputation of or the quality of services provided by the speaker today.
Small presentation on my global quest. Her global quest, not mine, but that's the title, My Global Quest, about her quest to create a universal school system for children. So please welcome Amara.
Good morning, guys. Is this close enough? Mike, can you hear me? My name is Amara Cummings, and as Roy just said, I'm from New Jersey in the US, and I'm currently traveling to create a global school system. 3 years ago, I enrolled in the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia to get my master's in education entrepreneurship, because I have always wanted to create a system for children around the world so that we become global citizens now that the digital age is here and we're all becoming digital natives. How do we speak to each other from the moment that we're born to learn about different cultures, so that by the time we're adults, we have ironed out a lot of the kinks that we see this day. So this is I put this together, it's really a copy of my annual report. I founded this Cummings Innovation Lab, if you will, in January 2017, and sent this out to my year one investors. So I'm going to share a little bit about what I've done, and then open it up shortly for questions at the end. This is my quote that I've had on my email for about 10 years now. If you want to change the world, you simply must dare to do so. A lot of us talk about changing the world, but we actually have to start to put the action behind it to really see some real change. What's inside? That's kind of our agenda. The Cummings method is something that I've been working on for the last 3 years. If you are familiar with Montessori or Reggio Emilia, it's a mixture between those two, included with multilingualism. So my kids piloted in the States, and my kids were from 0 to 5. They went to school in 3 languages initially. We did Japanese, Spanish, and English. And then I added 2 languages additionally, so they were doing 5 languages total, which are Japanese, Spanish, English, Yoruba, which comes from Nigeria, and French. So this is about how do we get kids to become multilingual from birth, and how do we get them to connect around the world from birth. My method is comprised of 5 elements, which are the environment, helping them to understand that they're local, global, and universal citizens, and also every language, every environment is multilingual. Their daily structure has changed. The kids they don't do what they want. I don't like to say that because then it sounds like they don't have discipline, but the environment is basically built for them to walk in and be able to kind of manage their day. So they're 2 and 3-year-olds, although we kind of see them as run all over the place, they're specifically geared towards the things that they like, and whatever that activity is will allow them to express themselves and learn in at least 3 languages simultaneously. So I could ask a kid something in Japanese, and if he chose to answer me in Spanish, as long as I understood that he knew what I meant, then that assessment means that he understands the language, and he or she gets to choose what language he wants to respond. The next is spiritual safety, something that I'm currently writing, which is a new take on discipline. So instead of the timeout, hey, hi little guy, you did this, you were bad, you did something wrong, go sit down for a little bit and kind of take the discipline approach there. It's more of understanding, helping the kids to understand and treating children as if they are enough. They are learning exactly what they're supposed to be learning at the time that they're learning it, and that is enough. So whatever their experience is something that they are supposed to be doing, because now this is now a teaching moment rather than a moment in school. And that helps children learn a lot better, because when they're happy and they feel full and they feel whole and they feel appreciated and safe, then you can easily introduce them to something new, whether it's in the language they understand or not, because now they're open to exactly what that is. The other is curriculum. I first began to develop my own curriculum, but what I realized is that in order to get this around the world, how to do this a little bit faster, to partner with major curriculum developers and just help them figure out how to make what they have multilingual so that it can then be disseminated on a larger platform rather than school by school and choice by choice. And then it also allows teachers from around the world, or even expats. That's why I'm glad to speak to this audience today, because you guys have lived full lives and you have a lot to offer. So having feedback from people who have been there, done that, so to speak, is very, very helpful when it comes to writing curriculum for the next generation, because there are lots of learning opportunities. It shouldn't always come from the teacher. You know, I went to school and I got a master's degree, and now all of a sudden I'm this global curriculum expert for every single kid around the world, when I've never been to some places. There are some kids who are very different than kids that I've dealt with. And I'm speaking as in every teacher. Every teacher is not the answer to education. We are all the answer to education. The last part is the assessment. So I personally believe, my philosophy of education is that we've geared education more towards the intellectual capacity only. And that's why we've gotten kind of the results that we have. And assessment should not only be how well you do on a test or what grades you get, but who you are as a person, who you are as an individual, who you are as a greater context to the larger group. So some kids go to school and they're not very social, and it's seen as something negative, as opposed to seeing what else and helping them to develop what they have to offer and assessing around that so that they can gradually begin to enter into larger groups on their own in the ways that they see their value. So those are the 5 parts that I'm currently working on. I don't want to patent, because I've been told that some of my elements could possibly be utility method patent, but I kind of just want to leave it this way right now and let it become all of ours, as opposed to just me writing something. That's why I'm sharing it. Again, my initial pitch was start these around the world. So I am currently traveling. I'm here in Thailand because I want to get to know other school systems. I want to get to know other people around the world and really create something that's totally, totally global, not just from my head. This is some pictures of what we've done. We started in New Jersey in a home environment. I tested in 2 environments. One, to see how kids learn if they're just at home for 5 minutes. How am I out of time? Okay. Just what the home environment looks like. I totally believe, I didn't realize this before we started this, that a home environment is much better for a kid between 0 and 5 than it is for them to be in a commercial environment. There's a lot of practical and life skills that they just get from maneuvering that you can't really teach from being in a kind of a square position. We did things like yoga. We took them out, they can pretty much set up their own. They were completely self-directed. There was no, this is what we do. We do some things as a group, but for the most part, this little one here, she's like super artist. You give her anything to play with, anything to mold, she'll draw on anything, she'll take it out. So she went and got her, her paints and created this mat herself. She made out her little, and she's only 3. This little guy, because of the home environment, he speaks all 5 of the languages. He picks up everything. He's kind of we don't really know what he is yet, but he's kind of got a super brain. But he's very emotional. He almost can't go. He can't meet new people. And being in the home environment, this was actually my home. He got to know my landscapers. He got to know, we did Amazon Prime for everything. They thought every package was there, so they would just open it up. And as he got to gradually introduce himself to other people, he started to open up, as opposed to, here, it's time to go into the group, it's time to go into the group, and he being forced to do it each time. Also, I would love for the world to be their classroom. I want the kids to travel. So this is actually, if you've ever heard of Minerva, it's a traveling college. The founder also went to University of Pennsylvania, which is where I got my master's degree. And I'm looking to kind of create a primary version of Minerva where the kids actually do travel, the parents travel. It's millennials, we're a traveling generation. Our children are probably gonna be much more than we are. And we have to create a system that allows us all to kind of live free lives as opposed to staying in one spot for forever and then getting to travel much later or just for vacation. These are just my credentials. I got my master's in education and entrepreneurship from the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. I won some awards for pitching this with the School of Social Impact, Social Policy and Practice. Also won something from Wharton School of Business. I went to Franklin and Marshall College in Lancaster, Pennsylvania with the Amish. And from there, studied in Japan at the Tohoku University in Sendai. I also speak 4 languages: Japanese, Spanish, English. I probably shouldn't say Italian anymore just because it's been a while. But those are my 4 main languages. I grew up speaking Arabic. And then I was awarded scholarship to go to boarding school also in Westtown, Pennsylvania, where I also studied in Mexico. My vision: to create the world's future global leaders. I think we have a very different view of global leadership. I think people should have actually experienced the world before they get to control it. So that's pretty much it. I want to plant the seeds that we want to sow. We want to make sure that we are continuing education from a futuristic perspective. These are some of my results, very small to read. This was something that when it comes to languages and exposure, everyone's looking at China as the big, we should learn Mandarin, we should learn, and a lot of people are pushing for English. But with just these 5 languages that aren't completely huge around the world, once these kids are fluent in those 5 languages, because they'll go through 18, they'll have 5 languages, they will have to access cognitively from 4 language families. And I have a theory on that most of their math curriculum is in an Asian language, so we did a lot of things in Japanese, Romance languages for arts and expression. They will have currently on the planet been able to communicate with 993 million native speakers around the world. So although we're pushing for, economically, China's the big guy, and English is the universal language, there is a benefit to experiencing, learning more languages than just the big ones, because you actually access yourself to a whole heap of people around the world. And I keep from my struggle. That's pretty much it. This was my fiscal year 1. A lot of people helped out. Some investors. It actually ended a little more than that, but I think it was about 86,000. But yes, that was 2017 for me, and now I'm traveling and will hopefully be doing a bigger raise when I get back to the U.S. So I'll be creating a website, but I was going to do it in the last week or so to kind of help people around the world who I've been needing to follow along with what I'm doing. But I had some internet problems, so I'll build it in the next week or 2 and send the link to Ren, and you guys can follow along if you're interested in any way. Taking donations help, if you want to give advice on things that you've experienced, if there are any former educators in the room. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there any quick questions for Amira? Here, sorry. I'm Australian, that's a problem.
2 ที่นอนของที่สปีกเกอร์ Thank you. That was inspirational. I love your idea of the concept of treating kids as individuals and developing what skills and what passions they have from inside of them, rather than trying to put them into a cookie cutter kind of, which is what the education system's been for so long. You have to do this, you have to do this, and then we're going to assess you based on what we've told you, rather than what's inside of you. So I love this. You mentioned a few ways that we could get involved. Is there a structure to that? I mean, I want to help. How can we do that?
So when I build, it's no longer there. I have 4 ways. First, I'm currently building a platform to recruit future teachers. I'm also building a platform, it's all going to be in the same platform. So future teachers, future investors. I am a hybrid structure, so I'm for-profit and nonprofit. The product side comes out of for-profit, but the education side comes out of nonprofit. I know people have interest in either one of those. So if you're more of a nonprofit donor and you want to see what the results are and you're more numbers oriented in that aspect, there'll be a space for that. There'll also be a space for profit of what does this look like as a projection. So those are the 3. And then future parents, I'm always talking to people who have children and want to know more about what is it that they see for their children, what do they wish they would have had. So those are the 4 areas: parents, children, nonprofit, for-profit investors. Yeah, I'll give it. Everyone keeps saying this is Thailand when I keep talking about my internet problems, but we're going to get through it. And I'll build something to make sure that anyone who wants to contact.
Question?
John, you've got to tell it which one.
I just wanted to say thank you for your talk today. I found it quite interesting. As you know, I've got 2 youth children, and I certainly would like to get involved some way as well, so I'll be getting some details from you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I just, we had a talk about 2 weeks ago about virtual reality, and when you talked about the kids experiencing the world, it's quite remarkable what you can experience just by virtual reality. And I was wondering if that's something you've given any thought to.
I have. I've been fighting myself because I know we're in the digital age, but I truly believe that 0 to 5 should be all about experiencing the real world. Touch, all 5 senses have to be engaged because that's how you create who you are. And most of our curriculum tells you, like you said, tells you what to learn. This is what this is. But when a kid touches something for the first time, you have no idea what's firing in their brain. So for me, I don't believe in for 0 to 5 technology. I think it should be all about figuring out what those basic skills are, and then maybe in primary, kind of putting them on that. But virtual reality, I personally love.
Hi, thanks very much for your talk. Of course, we've really got a sort of a sketchy idea of really what it's all about. You'd have to give us a lot more detail, I think, for people that invest seriously. Yeah. But my observation about education as it's practiced in the places I've been, it really isn't education at all. It's a way of controlling children to promote the values of a certain religion that's in control in that area. And so I think that you would come up against quite a lot of opposition from that established education systems that are, well, basically brainwashing.
Yes and no. I've been fortunate enough to have had established systems approach me to figure out how to put, because when I first pitched this, it was all about multilingualism, and that's kind of the way that the US is really trying to figure out, we're trying to figure out bilingualism. But once I started to see those systems is when I really started to create this one. So it's not just multilingual, and it's also why I'm traveling on my own and not taking, so I'm not here to pitch for investment. That was just, I always say that, but I'm not ready to take investment in this specific moment because I want to make sure that it's fundamentally exactly what I want to build so that when I do come up against opposition, it's as strong as possible. I'm not particularly worried about any one system.
Yeah, me. I noticed you put a lot of emphasis on children socialising and generally doing their own thing. What do you think is the devastating impact of the mobile phone? Every child I see now nearly has one, and in Africa. And they seem to be sitting down, nobody's talking.
Yeah, I noticed that especially in pictures, when you see schools of the future, everyone's on computers with headphones and iPads and phones. I've noticed from traveling, from dealing with children, the more a kid is on a screen, the less, and this is not scientific, I don't have any data on this, this is just my personal observation, the less they're able to deal with real life social skills. So for me, I think we have to push towards real life. If you want to travel, travel. I know there's a lot of restrictions around it, there's a lot of poor. I'm from Newark, New Jersey, where I didn't grow up with an iPad or I didn't grow up with any of that, and traveling has been my eye-opener to the world. But when it comes to, I'm not a fan of those devices. I'm not a fan of devices for children in any way.
Yeah, you've got the problem that if you carry this on, the socialising skills that we've mastered over many years, you'll lose them if they're stuck on a phone all the time. Nobody's talking, nobody's interacting, except pressing buttons.
Right.
I see university students doing it, and they still have the same problem, not talking.
Yeah, we're all, I think anyone who's probably 35 and under, we're all there, we're all in our phones, and I think it's about finding the balance. And I think the way to create the balance is to show kids how to be social early on, introduce them, and then let them have their technology much later.
Thank you very much, Anita.
The PCEC wish you every success with your goals and ambitions. You're welcome back anytime. It's a wonderful subject to be able to look at universal schooling for children and from a very early age. And what John was saying about the iPad and the phone, they're the new television in the corner babysitter for mothers. And you're right, we've got to push them back like Steve Jobs did with his children. He wouldn't let them have them, all Microsoft. So congratulations and well done. Thank you.